This just in. The president, Donald Trump, has contracted COVID. Nancy Pelosi and Stephen Mnuchin still working on stimulus bill. This is Was That in Good Taste? As always, I'm your host, Steven, and I'm joined by my co-anchor,
Chandler Phillips.
Chandler Phillips. How you doing there, Chandley?
I'm ready to kick ass and take names.
Oh yeah! So we're here
And
to talk
I'm
about.
all out of ass.
We're here to talk about politics. So, what's going on with you today? We're here to talk all kinds of crazy things.
All right, so we were. All right.
Oh wow! I think I muted you. There you go. Try it again. Oh, you weren't facing the mic, dumbass.
I'm right here.
No, you gotta face the front of the mic. Oh, look at that. There's a radio professional. So, I think that we've kind of come into a thing where before we even start the episode, before we start the podcast, we do a thing where we drink.
Is that the taste part? Or I guess the taste is a double entendre on both.
And I'm the pro because I had you all the way down. Yeah, it's a double entendre. Was that in good taste? It's a double entendre.
Fucking
What does that
guy.
mean?
All right, so we're drinking today. This can looked really neat, and it's October, and I fucking love a good Oktoberfest. This is Lagertown Oktoberfest by Acre. And
Do you know anything else about Half Acre?
I know literally nothing about
Half Acre also has their most popular beer ever.
Ever?
Which would be
Wait, forever ever?
forever, which would be Daisy Cutter, which is an IPA, super delicious. It has an owl. I know you know it. It's gray and has like latticing and has an owl on the front.
Oh, I do recognize the
and
can.
I think we've had Half Acre before, but not this.
We featured Half Acre on the show before.
Yes.
We got a returner.
We did, and if you see the owl here in the front,
It's got a real like human like face to the owl.
this is good. It's
It's a little off-putting. Just the owl's face.
Lagertown.
Lagertown October.
Brewed and canned by Half Acre Beer Company, Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago.
This episode is bought by, but not really, because the FTC has a whole thing about that. We're not sponsored by anybody because nobody wants to give us money. By Half Acre Brewing. Remember, when you want to abuse somebody who's your partner, make sure you're properly inebriated first. I'm in a dark mood today. Don't look at me.
That I can't get behind that sentiment.
I would never.
Wow.
I would never. Sober. That's why you have to drink Half Acre. It's.
Are you?
I'm done. Come on.
Are you trying to make a joke out of this?
No, there's nothing funny about it.
There's nothing funny about domestic abuse.
I'm thoroughly traumatized, which is why I can't get it off my mind. I've been thinking about it a lot lately.
Speaking of domestic abuse, let's talk about the presidents.
Did you hold on?
Because they're abusing us domestically.
Oh,
What a segue.
All right, so we're gonna drink this here.
All right.
So, what do you know about?
I'm going to pour some out for the homies. That's fine.
On my fucking leg on the floor because I'm trying to read it. I'm old. My glasses. I have to pull my fucking. What is this? What does this say here?
What are you trying to look at?
I was looking at the label here, and it says October. It says Lagertown Oktoberfest. So I don't know if you know a lot about these beers, but Oktoberfest don't mean shit.
I thought it meant it was typically a Marzen ale.
Well, you would say that, but here's a question.
I did say that.
This don't taste like a Marzen lager to me. Marzen lagers.
Oh, is it lager versus
smoking lagers? No. Oktoberfest do tend to be a traditional style ale.
Yeah.
Like Berliner.
It's usually a
German-style
later
ale.
harvest.
It is a lager. And here's the thing, is that so a lot of the breweries like Budweiser and stuff are actually repurposed originally from European German breweries. And that's kind of how the American lager came about. They took the machinery and the actual breweries, and they just kind of started making their own version of a lager. So the traditional Oktoberfest beer, to my knowledge, tends to be some version of a lager. However, you do get Weiss beers, you do get other types of, Berliners, kind of like German.
Well, it tends
beers.
to be a little bit maltier than your average lager, is what I like. They roast it a little bit more. Usually add a little bit of spice or something to it to give it a little bit more depth. So what I enjoy about like your typical Oktoberfest is you get like that kind of malty sweetness, almost like you get hints of like subtle dark chocolate. Like that's what I tend to associate with malt.
I could see that. I think another characteristic is that I don't even notice, but the most American lagers, they tend to be anywhere between 4.2 and 5% alcohol. But I've noticed a lot of these Oktoberfest tend to be 5.2 to 5.8%.
They're a tad bit heavier
on
the alcohol.
They are.
So what kind of flavors you getting from this one? Being not your tip, it's not your mama's lager.
It's not your mama's lager. So I'm definitely getting something a little heavier. Wow, I'm definitely getting. So you mentioned malt. You know, when it comes to lagers, the characteristic I like the best about a lager is I kind of like the fact that they tend to be crushable, but they tend to have a little bit of body to them. This has a lot more body than I prefer.
My body all over your body, girl.
But it's delicious. It's a little sweet. Definitely has that
little touch of the tip, the lips.
Touch of tip the lips.
Tip the lips, the teeth, gums.
I definitely feel
what drew me to was the can. Like it's got this whole like medieval kind of tapestry looking thing. These knights. Looks like what? Lannisters v. What's the other one? Baratheon, kind of thing going on. But like, it's got a richness to it that I really. That's the word I think would best describe Oktoberfest. Richness while still being light, and I kind of like the negotiation. It's like a nice middle ground between a porter and a lager. And that's why I gravitate.
What did you say? Okay, halfway point between a porter and a lager. I mean, far apart there, but
they're really far. They're complete opposite sides of the spectrum.
But definitely much heavier than a traditional lager or a pilsner. Definitely much heavier than like a lager or a pilsner. It's it's still refreshing. In autumn, it's a little chilly, so like. In the winter you might think something heavier, like you did say, like a porter or a stout, something heavier with more alcohol.
Wait, are you actually affirming something I said?
I am.
Is this validation?
Yeah.
What?
So
I'm sorry, I'm so unused to it.
So when you come to close to the fall, I think that having a beer like this, we're moving out of gin and tonic, Aperol spritz, Pilsner American lager style into the darker beers, but this is definitely something in between, and I think it really suits the kind of weather.
It's the bridge.
You know what this is?
What is it?
It's that like kind of warm day with a cool afternoon breeze. Where like it's starting to get a little chilly.
You wear a hoodie at like 5 p.m.
Yeah, like this is something very good, very refreshing. And I think I need to pound back like 6 more of these because America's going to shit.
Oh, you can crush it, bro.
I don't know about you, but so on the day that we're recording this, of course, has been a day after the president here of America. I don't know if you know that we're in America.
Wait, which part?
Well, we're currently in New York, but I'm not. I'm from New York. You're from the West Coast. There,
we're spiritually, in New York,
but we're in New York, and So President Donald Trump has contracted the SARS-CoV-2 or SARS-CoV-2, also known as COVID-19, strain of the coronavirus. And yeah.
Not only that, he's been hospitalized now. Like,
I got stuff to say about that.
They've been hospitalized.
He's been hospitalized, and in addition to that, so
technically, is that a form of institutionalized?
Maybe. So we're going to break down a few things here. One, we're going to break down a little bit of a timeline here. So
break it down.
On Friday afternoon, it came out that the president was, you probably didn't know this part, I'm about to drop on you. Oh, so the president who was positive with the coronavirus. Okay. So, last night, early this morning, under his own power, he left the White House to go to a local hospital for preventative care just to make sure that he's okay. His doctor said that this is day 3 of his exposure, his having COVID
Since
they announced that he had COVID on Friday, which means that he most likely had COVID Wednesday. And also, I don't know if you know this, but when he arrived at the debate that they had this week...
Wait, what day was that on?
I think that was Tuesday.
That was Tuesday?
When he arrived... It might have also been Wednesday. No. Wednesday was... Hold on. Wednesday was AW. I'm pretty sure it was Tuesday. Mm-hmm. When he arrived at the debate, he and his family didn't get tested, actually, because they arrived too late to get tested. So they most likely used an earlier test. And then one of his senior advisors had contracted the coronavirus.
His senior advisor, was that the one that? Wait, what's the name?
It was one of his senior advisors. He goes through quite a lot, but he also has more than one. It's a woman. I'm sorry, I don't remember her name right now because I don't actually work for a news organization. Sorry to break the fourth wall there.
I couldn't remember if it was the one who was his secretary of the press. Or if it was
no, Kellyanne Conway,
She's
the one
not
who was but wasn't she like in charge of his press? Like
no, it was the one who took over for Huckabee, wasn't it?
I think it was, yeah. But it doesn't matter because
I'm drawing a blank on her
on
name.
The day before on the last few trips on Air Force One.
He's turning tricks on Air Force One.
There's a list of the people who were on the plane with him, and it's a lot of people, including Rudy Giuliani and a few other well-known names. So it's very likely that
it's a real who's who
that he was exposed to, from, and by these people. In addition to that, it's most likely that he knew he had coronavirus when he attended a fundraiser on Thursday in which he had personal contact with over 100 people. Also, can we drop in a little bit of the fact that when he was at the debate, Joe Biden's family, now they were 6 feet apart. They were more than 6 feet away from the moderator, and they came from opposite sides of the stages. So they were technically
social distance.
They were technically social distance and appropriately separated from each other. But the hospital offered both Biden and Trump's family face masks, and the Biden family accepted the face masks. And
what happened to the Trump family?
Trump family didn't.
Oh, they passed.
So
they said hard pass, bruh.
So I just thought that we might want to just break that down.
Wait, so Trump's got the Rona. What about his loving wife Melania?
She also does.
Oh, fuck!
She's asymptomatic. She's been isolating herself in the White House there.
But she was doing that before COVID too. Got him.
Oh, but listen,
come on.
I'm gonna tell you something. We're gonna take that away. You know why? Because you don't read the Times. Did you see the article that came out that, there's a recording of her? She just like Trump. She was fucking swearing up a storm. People, they were like, I'm kind of not mad at her. This is actually an older recording during Christmas where she was like getting that White House together for Christmas stuff. And they were like, what about freeing children? And she was like,
fuck the kids.
She was like, what the fuck do you want me to do? Like, I'm just trying to do my fucking job. Like, they didn't say that shit to Obama. Like, I want to help the fucking kids.
Yeah.
But I'm fucking busy. And I'm just gonna say that, like, all the things about her being a demure, like, slave to Trump or whatever, it's very unlikely that that's who she is.
Yeah, but we can still make fun of them for it. That's fun. Just have some fun, goddammit.
We have other real things to make fun of. But we're gonna get into the debate, right?
Fuck them kids.
And I feel like we have a lot of funny stuff to talk about the debate.
All right.
But before we talk about the debate, I just want to go through some actual stuff.
History,
this is not really news.
All right.
But like, I feel like by the time this comes out,
it will be.
It will be history. But at the moment, because of Donald Trump's going to the hospital, by the time this comes out, he might be dead. I'm actually, despite we had this conversation earlier, I don't have to like him. I don't wish death on anyone. I don't know if you do. You probably shouldn't say it if you do, though. But I don't wish death upon anyone. I wish maybe incapacitation, but I don't wish death. But we don't know what's going to happen. That having been said, at the moment, it looks like he may be on a road to recovery, which is actually something that we do want, because I don't think you want the leader of your country to die or be killed by the coronavirus or infirm, because that will have negative political impact that will affect the country outside of who the person is, despite how you feel about them. Just saying, might not be a really good thing. Also Pence. But that aside, that aside, I just want to clarify that I don't think that anybody here wants anybody to die or wishes anybody to die. But if they were to die, that would suck.
It would definitely cause a lot of problems for the current situation. However, I also heard recently that one of the long-term lasting effects of SARS-CoV-2, whatever the fuck,
SARS-CoV-2,
yeah, is violent bloody stool. And so, yes, I agree. I don't want to wish death upon anyone. However, if some people end up with violent bloody shits for the next couple months, I don't got a problem with that.
Now,
look, I've had my fair share of hemorrhoids, but
what you have? Okay.
It's a fair share. Like, I'm not hoarding the hemorrhoids.
I mean, more than you need.
More than I need.
But not too much.
I'm bearing the brunt.
Thank you for taking that on for me.
Yeah. I'm hemorrhoided so that you don't have to. But I kind of revel in the hypothetical notion that Trump is tweeting from the toilet, profusely bleeding from his anus. That's the only thing.
I feel that way, but I just have to, you know how I am. Like, what did you say earlier? Like, how's the traffic up there?
How's the traffic up there on that high road?
Yeah.
Is there space for one more?
I don't have to like Trump to not wish death on him. You know, I'm not saying. I mean, if he comes back and he's fatigued and doesn't feel like he can be president anymore, then maybe, you know. And then, by the way, at that point, he could resign without any shame.
Oh, there's shame.
And then they probably would leave him alone.
There's gonna be shame. Like, anytime a president resigns, there's shame.
No, not if you become so physically ill that you can't continue.
I think it's a little too late for him to resign without shame.
But I just feel like, you know,
I think 3 weeks into the presidency, he might have been a little too late to resign without shame.
I wish Biden would have got COVID too.
Look, all right. I'm as much an anarchist as the rest of y'all. And I kind of agree. If this whole thing, like,
no justice, no peace.
No
justice, no peace.
And am I supposed to, like, respond to this? Or are you just...
Fuck the fuck police.
What are you trying to do here?
That's the chant.
I know that's the chant, but, like, you already made me say I can't wish death on Trump. So, like, why are we doing this now?
I'm sorry. Continue.
Law enforcement has nothing to do with anarchy.
I know it doesn't. Continue. I know it does. I just thought it'd be... Continue. Continue.
I just want a little wrench thrown into everything.
But you know it's not gonna.
It's not gonna.
And I just would don't. Oh. Actually, you know what? We can't have this conversation because you're white, and I have an entire opinion about white people and anarchy and throwing wrenches and shit. Because it's not gonna affect you or your ass. You fucking throwing wrench and shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's not gonna affect you. Fuck you.
Exactly.
Fuck you.
I'm just gonna coast through this.
You know. Oh man. Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh, we're gonna have a civil war, and I'm gonna sit back and smoke myself to oblivion. That's about it.
Fuck this shit, man. I can't even.
No, but like, so, alright, Trump was hospitalized. Biden, he actually got his test back, or at least they're saying that he came back negative.
But they're going to continue doing more tests, and he's going to release all his tests.
Mm-hmm. And his tax returns of 2019.
Okay, we're going to have a conversation. I have an opinion.
Uh-huh.
About Trump and his tax returns.
Oh, about Trump and his tax
yeah,
not about Biden and
his tax returns, they were leaked.
Uh-huh.
And he was wrong to not release them, but I kind of understand why.
Because
he didn't do anything wrong. Real estate people do this fucking shit where, like, they constantly keep themselves poor as fuck.
Uh-huh.
And they constantly because if you have cash flow, you get taxed. It's ridiculous.
I mean, 50 Cent did the same thing.
You know, Like, we're in New York right now. In New York, you get taxed like 47% if you make a lot of money. In California, it's like 52%. You avoid that, especially in real estate, by reducing your cash flow and continuously investing in property.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that you constantly losing. And those kind of tax loopholes are not wrong. But like, you don't want to be the person who's like, I'm here for you and I'm here for the middle class. And, you're really fucking just taking advantage of completely legal.
You can't be the people's champ and also be fucking over the people at the same time.
You know what I mean? I don't technically know if it's fucking over the people. Technically, when it comes to those tax laws, I don't know if it's fucking over the people. I'm not going to completely agree with that. But it's dishonest. You know what I mean? You can't be like, I'm here and I'm just like you and my taxes are completely fine, and lying about it, when in reality his net worth might be $1 billion, but he's completely taking advantage of completely legal loopholes.
But here's the issue that I see, at least, because so much of his constituents and so much of his base are upset with people taking advantage of the government and taking advantage of the system. Everyone takes advantage of the system. That's why there's a system. There's a system there so that you can try to get as many people as possible to not take advantage of the lack of system. And therefore, anyone who's smart enough to take advantage of the system does so.
And to be even more, it might be a little worse than that, because technically it's not taking advantage of the system.
What's it taking advantage of?
Technically, the system was created intentionally with loopholes. Because the reason why they created these loopholes, by the way, you know who helped Trump kind of save the most of his money? Take a guess. You're going to fucking bug the fuck out.
Thanks, Obama.
It's Obama. It really is. Because Obama passed these tax laws so the intention of these laws is really so people who have lots of money, instead of hoarding it,
it's to incentivize.
Will spend it.
Yeah. And
it works. But it's like Grant Cardone. I don't know if he's like this real estate mogul or whatever, who like he's like a multi-billion-dollar company where he does like realty and stuff like that, even though he has his own issues and his company got closed down. But it's not because of this. And one of the ways what he was doing is that he was renting homes where he was going to buy homes, getting a crazy line of equity, like $8 million equity on his house. And then he was using that as credit to put towards buying 150 unit. Like he would take $5 million of his own money plus the $8 million of his equity, plus a loan.
Just for the listeners who don't know what equity is, please just
think of it as credit.
Okay. All right.
So he has the house.
Yeah.
And it's his, but he remortgages it, so he has a line of credit with the bank.
Okay.
Right? And he takes that and he's like, okay, so I have this, it's mine, but I put a line of equity with the bank because I have this amazing house. And the bank still partially owns part of it. The line of credit is $8 million. I have $8 million. I can get a loan for $10 million, right? And then we can put that towards buying a 100 unit apartment complex. You know what I mean? And then you have no money, you have no income, you rent from yourself because you own the house, and you just continuously do that. So you're giving people jobs, you're like building apartments and people live there and shit like that or whatever, which is good. But also you don't pay like income tax because you don't have any income because you have no cash flow. You know what I mean? Until you're older. And then when you're older, you get taxed lower because you're older. And then you can redirect your cash flow to be $100,000 a year. And then you pay less taxes, which is not wrong.
It's not.
It's exactly how the system's set up to incentivize people with money.
Right.
So Bezos technically is a bad example because he has a lot of money. In reality, the system is geared towards pushing Bezos to spend his money.
Right.
But he's not spending his money. So technically, Trump is not doing wrong by doing that. He's doing what the system is telling him to. But he talks to people, and he talks to people.
He plays the everyman
He
card.
plays the everyman, when in reality, he's not the everyman.
No.
He's just like every other person who has money. The rhetoric, people who hate Trump, has been like, oh, he's really poor. He's not poor. He's just another real estate person who takes advantage, who uses the system so they don't have income.
Right.
And then he tells people who aren't from New York, he's like, I'm not like these New York people. He's from New York. He's literally a real estate mogul who funnels all his money into real estate so he has no income.
Yeah.
Owns a bunch of buildings.
Mm-hmm.
And then he tricks people into thinking that he's like not from New York. And then both sides get tricked.
Technically, he's from Florida now.
Oh my fucking God.
Did you hear about that? Oh, you seen this? You hear about this?
Oh, tell me.
He's technically from Florida. That's it. That's all I got in regards to. He just changed his residency.
These motherfuckers. You know why?
Why?
I'm gonna tell you why.
Tax reasons.
Tax reasons.
Oh fuck! I guessed it.
The older you get, you know what happens.
Florida likes old people.
Now, check this out. He's funneled all his stuff. His net worth.
They have to have something to feed to
his
the gators.
Net worth is probably short of $1 billion, but it's a lot. But he has no cash flow, except for stuff that he was doing with like fucking apprentices and stuff like that, you know, but he was using that money to buy more properties. Now, when he's done being president, he'll move there. He can take the $100,000, $200,000 he gets from having been the president. His tax rate, it will be less, and then he could refunnel, you know, he can refocus.
So it's a reverse funnel system.
It kind of is, and then you take it.
It's a dimmer ripe. It's not a pyramid scheme. It's a dimmer ripe. It's the opposite.
And then you refocus your income, and you refocus your investments. So he still owns these things, but he starts selling them off. He starts renting them off in different ways.
Right.
And he rebalances it so that he never has to work again. His family. And then guess what?
What?
When you don't have income, you can transfer your net worth to your kids, and they can't take your money.
The kids can't take your money?
No, dude, kids can get your net worth. But there's no estate tax. Because that's the main thing people with money are afraid of. Is if you have like $50 billion and you die, you're going to lose maybe more than half of that. But if you have no money, but nothing but property, you could transfer that to your children.
You got nothing but assets. And if I've seen pictures of Trump, he got assets.
You can transfer that to your children. This is some fucking diabolical shit that
this is some diabolical dynasty shit.
He's not the king of. He's not even the best at it. And that's why when people act like he's like, oh, he says he's a billionaire, but he's not. His net worth might be $1 billion. They're thinking about it wrong. And then people who are like, oh my, he's an everyman. They're also wrong. Both sides are fucking wrong. He's just another fucking business person.
Right.
He's just an okay. He's not great. He's just an okay business person who does just enough because he has CPAs. He doesn't do. You think fucking does his fucking business? He's not smart enough. He's a fucking idiot. I'm sorry. He's an idiot.
Ooh, lean into him. Go, girl, spill that tea.
Donald Trump is like a fucking idiot. He doesn't fucking do his own shit. He pays CPAs and shit. You think he's sitting there going, well, he doesn't give a shit.
If I diversify.
He doesn't give a shit. He literally has people who do that shit for him, and they make sure that he has no fucking income. And the only thing is that he's known for saying stuff like, I'm a billionaire. And when your tax returns come out and you do real estate, you seem broke. But he's not broke. And that's the big mistake. That actually makes him look dumber than he is. Because he's not a complete fucking idiot.
No.
People always like, oh, he lost every
he's
cent
not
his father gave him.
Fucking idiot.
It's not true at all. He's
a moderate fucking idiot.
That's a fucking truth. Fuck that guy. But I don't want he dies. Fuck that. I don't want him to die. Okay? And I always say shit like, man, Biden. Listen, Biden is lackluster, okay? But fuck.
Biden's the half chub of presidents right now. But like,
come on. Like, Trump is whack, okay? Trump is whack. Trump is annoying, okay? And I don't go off.
He's a bad look, is what it is.
But it's too easy to make fucking fun of him. Because guess what? He's so painfully fucking average. And as a business person, he's the same as a president. He's average with a big fucking mouth. If he would have washed his fucking mouth, guess what would have happened? If he would have washed his fucking mouth... He would have been
such a better president if he just didn't run his fucking mouth so much.
People wouldn't have known shit. Things would have been exactly the fucking same. And
he's just chirping so much.
He fucking talks so fucking much. And that shit does a lot of harm. And now we're stuck between fucking...
It's like
a turd sandwich and a fucking douche, giant
No,
douche.
it's worse. I don't know. I don't think it's the difference between a turd sandwich and a douche.
It's a South Park reference.
I know it's a South Park reference, but I think it's like the difference between a turd sandwich and like whatever fucking flesh-eating acid would be in a douche.
No. I think that Trump is the turd sandwich and the douche is actually a puppet that has hands in it, because that's what Biden fucking is. He's just a fucking puppet of the DNC.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, in some ways is kind of worse than like literally people said for years, man, I want a president who doesn't listen to the fucking Senate. I want a president who has their own mind and does what they want. Well, guess what you fucking got? That's what you fucking got. You got somebody who says what the fuck they want and does what the fuck they want, and guess what? They don't fucking like that shit. You know why? Because individuals fucking suck. And that's why there's a system in place where there's an individual, but there's other groups of fucking people that can counter the fucking individuals. And guess what? They want to blame fucking Trump, but the fucking Senate is complicit because they're using him to pass their fucking rhetoric. Trump is nothing.
Right.
Without the fucking Senate. He's not even the problem. He's just the fucking...
I am the Senate.
he's literally just the face of the fucking problem. You know what I mean? And
he's not the problem. He's a byproduct that reflects the entirety of like just simmering.
Biden is also the same thing.
The xenophobia and
it is.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. This is why I get a lot of shit. Biden's the same thing. But Biden is the same thing, but I agree. And that's the problem. Is that like, so you see somebody doing the same exact thing, but you agree, so it makes it okay. And that's the problem, is because I know for a fact that I agree, but it doesn't make it right.
No, but like, here's the difference.
I mean, I think I'm right, and I think it's better.
Trump,
but
Trump on a world stage, is a bad look. Biden is a slightly better look. And that's all it comes down to from is like, would you rather look like the complete asshole or at least the asshole who's trying to make amends? And I guess one is more superficial than the other. Yeah. But on the world stage, I would rather have just a slightly better look.
So here's a question. At what point do you start trying to make actual institutional change?
What? What do you mean actual institutional change?
You know, like the kind of change that, you know, to get rid of slavery.
What?
And suffrage. You know, like actual change to, like, you know, to not continue the systemic oppression of peoples.
I don't understand. Can you maybe translate into something a little bit more Caucasian and male?
So you have mayo, right? Uh-huh. You know what I'm saying? But the mayo is left out of the fridge. It's not good. You would have put it on your bologna, banana, peanut butter sandwich.
What do you think we eat?
Unseasoned fucking toast. I don't know. What's seasoned toast? What's even seasoned toast?
Right?
Just some fucking salt, some fucking adobo. So, you know,
some tahini.
You know, oh no. Over-seasoned toast with avocado. I just had this the other day with mashed avocado with a spritz of lemon juice, a sprinkle of celery salt, and chili flakes. That's what I had the other day. It was fucking good.
What kind of bread was it?
Wheat bread.
Oh, okay, all right.
It's because the kid, he likes, they only eat the wheat bread.
They only eat wheat.
Yeah, you know.
They don't fuck with that pumpernickel.
I don't know if it's vegan.
I don't know.
I'll tell you this. All right. So, all right. Here's a question. Mm-hmm. So you saw the debate.
I watched the debate because you were like, "Hey, we're gonna record a podcast on the debate," and so I took notes I took 5 pages of notes on this debate.
And then I watched it,
and then
with the love of my life, and I was like, "Wow, you shouldn't watch that. Watch highlights because it was whack."
Oh, dude, I had about like probably a 750 of Buffalo Trace starting the debate and ended with half of that.
Well,
I was powering through whiskey.
So walk me through that. Walk me through your notes here.
All right. So the very first question that was on the debate was how they feel about appointing a new justice. And basically Trump's opinion was, we won the election. We won the right to appoint a new Supreme Court justice.
You may not get to the other ones. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah?
How you feel about that?
So, all right, I'm going to be honest. I didn't completely disagree with Trump's point.
Because he said the most true thing ever. I'm president for 4 years, not 3.
Mm-hmm.
He's still president. It's still within not only the realm of his powers, but his responsibility.
Right. However, I thoroughly appreciated Biden's retort, which was, people have already started the election process. Therefore, the election has technically begun. You haven't won shit.
I'm gonna fucking sound like I'm a Trump supporter, but listen.
Look,
No. The election process is for the next presidency. Donald Trump is the president until the end of January, no matter what happens.
Right.
It is still within his realm of responsibility to do this. Now, the problem that I have is that the day that she died, Mitch McConnell was like, yeah, we should get a new one already. And he was saying to reporters, let her fucking be dead. Like, shit.
Let her be cold first.
Like, because the reality is they have months.
And my issue, I think the biggest issue I had with it was the precedent set last election cycle where they had a similar issue,
but they didn't control the Senate. And the government has three prongs.
But it was a precedent set.
Technically, no, it's not, because it's not law. You know,
I guess only the judicial branch has
They voted on it, and that's the reality, is that the process states that, like, the House votes on it, the Senate votes on it, the president has a weigh in.
So all right. Here's what I would say would be the appropriate response. Trump, go ahead, nominate whoever the fuck you want. The House ought to sit on it until the election. Just for the sake of fuck you. I mean, I'm petty. I'll say it.
Unfortunately, I think that's unconstitutional. I do think that we do need to make sure that every branch of the government is properly staffed. And unfortunately, no matter how much you like Trump or not, he is still president. And people say lame duck, but the reality about lame duck is that's not true. You are 100% president until the day that you leave office. Mm-hmm. It is 100% his responsibility to the American people for anything until the day that he leaves office. And such, the politicking behind it it makes people uncomfortable. Like the day that she died, that makes me feel uncomfortable. Mitch McConnell would say that because literally you still have months, even after the election, even if you lose, you still have time to do it.
It's a little calloused.
You know, but that was not Trump saying that. The reality is that the process says that he's president until then. Mm-hmm.
He should have every right to appoint whoever he wants. But I also
I don't agree though. I mean, I think that this close, if it was me, even if I was Donald Trump, personally, this close to the election and this close to the end of my term, I think it might be better, especially because there's a possible transition of the Senate or the House. Maybe the fucking Senate stays and the House fucking becomes a completely Republican and there's a Republican president and it's like a Republican fucking republic.
The red wave?
You never fucking know. But guess what?
Which is odd because, like, you say red wave to Republicans and they think communism. But, like, it's... Yeah.
But there's a possibility, and 100%, I think that I would think that. But it's not my responsibility. Technically, your responsibility as president is to assign someone. 100%. If there's a vacancy,
he has the right to do so.
No.
And a responsibility.
The responsibility
to do so.
Yes.
But I think that given the precedent set last election cycle, the House has every right to say fuck you.
Maybe, but you have to remember that, like, you talk about president, but there was, like, this happened before that and before. This is not the first time.
I know.
So technically, this is not the precedent. technically the precedent was set in 1948. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the precedent was set in 1932. You know what I'm saying?
With what? Do you have? Are you just throwing out numbers? What
of both.
What you talking about?
I read some
stuff.
What
are you talking about, Willis?
I read some stuff, but I forgot. But trust me, 100%. That's not the precedent setting. And you know what I mean?
Recent one.
You know, that's the one that we remember the most. But trust me.
What have you done for me lately?
Now, granted, you might argue, well, it seems like the constituents want this, but you don't know that until the last votes are tallied.
And that's Biden's point. That's Biden's point, though.
It is.
You don't know until the last votes are tallied.
What? Unfortunately, the votes were tallied before. And you might say that, but guess what? The votes were tallied also for the Senate and for the House. And this also has to happen there. It's not a singular process. This is not a singular process. So even if you disagreed and you thought that the voting for Trump was not quite there are other people, and every single one of those elections is not under question.
I think, but they have the right. They may not have the responsibility, but they have the right to take a knee.
I mean, they have the right to use the process.
Yeah.
And guess what? They're going to try. But technically, they can try, but they can be subverted. And that's part of the process. So most likely, even if they try to sit on it, that's not going to happen. Because what has to happen is they can try to sit on it, but technically it's not going to work. Trump is going to present it. And the House is going to be able to look at it, and they're going to be able to pose questions, but the Senate is who decides.
Oh.
And the reality is that that's their responsibility, and they're allowed to do that. Now, whether or not we agree,
whether or not they should,
the person,
or not,
even Biden was like, the person that they picked seemed nice. You know why? Because of course they want to pick somebody. Kavanaugh was contentious, not villainous completely. But they definitely, he was very.
I don't know. He's got real bad guys and Revenge of the Nerds vibe.
But politically, if you look at his history, he's not great, but it's not completely contentious. But him as a person, it was very contentious. But
he just seems like he'd be part of the frat that's like,
they didn't want to.
Nerds!
And by the way, he might have been that, and it's very likely that he did what he said they did. But guess what? I just had to say that this woman that they've picked, unfortunately, I don't remember her name, but I did light research, because I'm a nobody. I just did a little bit of reading. She seems fine. She seems more progressive than a lot of the candidates they had offered before. She doesn't seem like she's out here trying to fucking, end women's. What is the Kavanaugh? They're afraid of overturning the precedents of Roe v. Wade.
Yeah.
They went with somebody who's a little bit more safe, and the reality is that unfortunately, RBG should have retired when she was being pushed to, but she didn't, and so she fucking died when she didn't want to. And
she didn't. Look, let's be honest. RBG didn't die. She's chilling with Tupac and Elvis.
This is very political.
And Michael Jackson right now.
It's super political. It's
Her
super ridiculous.
JFK are taking body shots off of Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah. Never call you bitch again. Believe me. Yeah, okay, Tupac.
Baby.
This shit right there, I can't even fuck with that.
That was Biggie Smalls.
I'm sorry, that question I knew was gonna be it, because that question, the feeling about it is different than the reality.
Yeah.
The feeling about it is like, I think they should do this.
The feeling is, can you let her be in the ground before you start talking about?
Check this out. What if something really contentious happens? What if something crazy happens between now and January? And you really need them. What if you really need the Supreme Court?
But the Supreme Court's there. They're just a man down.
But they're even. They need a tiebreaker. And I know you're saying that, but what if Roe v. Wade was happening now, at this time when somebody's not there? You never, this is something, some very important things can happen. You need everyone to be there. You need every single seat to be filled. It's very important. It's very, very important.
About that.
It is, 100%.
Does every seat need to be filled?
Yes. 100%.
All the time?
Yes.
Always?
Mainly, especially because they're talking about adding people, but it has to be an odd number. Because if it's an even number, it'll tie.
It's bad luck.
You don't want you don't want human rights to be tied. That's not what you want. If something comes up,
hope not.
If something comes up right now, and they're not the last say, but they are a huge say in setting precedent for a lot of things. You do not want a seat to be empty. And unfortunately, because people voted, the people who are in charge are 100% a reflection of the people who decided to participate in the election.
I mean, you say that, but really, let's real talk shit. It's not a reflection of what the people voted. It's a funhouse mirror reflection. I mean, you get into districting, you get into gerrymandering. Let's be honest.
Yes, but but systematic racism, and this is a whole thing where like people have been taught not to vote locally, which is why vote. Get out there, get out and vote. By the way, in New York City, you can still register to vote. In a lot of places, you can still register to vote.
Shit.
And time is not up. I already got my fucking ballot, but it's not time.
But where can you go to register to vote in New York City?
I mean, I don't know about that, but I know you can go to rockthevote.com.
Rockthevote.com?
Yeah, and they direct you to all the shit.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, are there any other sites, or is it just rockthevote.com?
Well, I know you got Rock the Vote, right? But I also know, for example, if you go to ny.gov,
oh, gotcha.
In the upper right-hand corner, there's a little search box. Just put that shit in there. But also, if you ever do your taxes through TurboVote, you go to
TurboTax?
TurboTax. They have TurboVote, which is one of the things under there.
Interesting.
Or if you ever go into Facebook or Instagram or anything, they have a fucking box at the top that says, hey.
See, I've done most of my voter registration off vote.org, but I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you know what? I almost forgot about vote.org, but the reason why I forgot about it is because you go on Instagram at the top, it says, hey, James, are you registered to vote yet? Or if you go on to Facebook, it goes, hey, James, are you registered to vote? Literally everything is pushing you to fucking register.
Interesting. And then you could also go to your local ballot or
of course.
Your voting offices.
And by the way, if you're inside of a district where they've already sent out absentee ballots, guess what? You don't have to mail it. If you're uncomfortable with that, you can actually put it into the envelope and physically take it to a polling place or to a ballot place ahead of time.
Interesting.
And you can actually give it to them ahead of time.
And I'm sure a place like what was the first one that you said?
Like what? Like TurboTax?
No, the one before that. The
Rock the Vote.
Rock the Vote. I'm sure something like that will tell you where your closest ballot stations and polling stations are.
Of course, if you also go into Apple Maps or Google Maps and just type that in,
just type that.
It'll just take you there.
Wow.
Vote.org also has a tool there too. It's almost like you have the complete power under you to vote. Now,
Ain't that pretty neat?
Systematic oppression, racism, and a lot of issues with education, which, by the way, you should listen to Nice White Parents from NPR, which is about the area that I live in, about white parents coming into these areas, not intentionally, but trying to help out these poor schools and taking it over by accident, which is not, they're not trying to be villains, they're trying to help, but there's a lot of displacement that happens. You look at these situations and it's like, hey, here we fucking go. These people are like me, we're taught sometimes, and not intentionally, that our voice doesn't matter. If your voice doesn't matter in a lot of things, you think your voice doesn't matter anywhere, and you don't participate. The reality is, when people,
almost like that's how that develops a voter apathy type syndrome.
And when people say things like you said, I'm not trying to be mad at you because it's the white man thing, but you're like, but it's not true because of gerrymandering. The reality is that if everybody knew or participated, it wouldn't matter.
Really?
It wouldn't it doesn't matter how they draw the districts if everyone participates.
Interesting.
It's almost as if they should have a national holiday that allows everybody to vote. Oh, wait, this year there's COVID. That means that a lot of people are not at work. It means a lot of people are working from home. It means that a lot of states are having, what? They don't want to have absentee ballot voting? Just saying. I don't fucking know. What's the next question? I'm sorry. That first one I knew was going to be it, though, because that one was the only one when I watched it that I was like, technically Trump is right.
Technically.
Take it back. Trump in that one was right, and it was a softball.
That one was a softball. I agree. But oddly enough, that particular question got completely derailed in the debate.
I mean, of course, because it's Trump.
As much as it got derailed in this podcast. Because then he turned it into socialist healthcare, and Biden's going to take away private healthcare and do all this shit, which...
That was not Biden's position. If anything, Biden's
That was
strength,
the one thing I was butthurt about Biden.
Biden's strength is the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Biden's strength is that he is not considered to be that person. Biden is not considered to be the socialist the party.
Yeah.
Even though
He's
Bernie is not a socialist, but, you know, politically, in the rhetoric that Trump was spitting...
He was basically trying to make Biden analogous to Sanders. But there's so much disconnect between the two that it was a real far stretch.
And it set the pace for the rest of it. What's the next question? Hit me. I'm down with this.
All right. Hold on.
I took too long with the other one, so we got to go a little faster.
They actually, hold on. I'm trying to find my notes on this, because then it just kind of diverts to like how Trump was boasting about how he's going against big pharma and allowing governors to shop other countries for medications, and how like he signed a deal so good that it makes insulin look like water. That was the big quote that I got from that one. Let's see. He tried to say that Biden would have let more people die of COVID.
Which, by the way, technically, this is where you can tell he was coached, but then he went off the rails.
Yeah. He went with a complete hypothetical.
No.
It was
the way that the H1N1 was severely mishandled by Obama and his team. But guess what?
Yes.
You're supposed to say that, but then not go on a 5-minute tangent.
Right.
And that's his problem.
And he went on the tangent.
Because technically, they're not completely different. They're not apples to oranges. They're like apples to gala apples, whereas one is significantly more contagious via different ways.
Apples to crab apples.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're different.
I mean, I love gala apples. Yeah. I'm not going to disparage them right? like that.
You know, so like, that one, I think that like, Trump was not wrong, because in my opinion, that's a criticism that I also have shared.
It was a valid criticism, but he kept running his fucking mouth.
And that's his big weakness, is that like Biden is kind of like weakness in this environment, but he didn't get a chance.
And then Trump went on to blame Biden for politicizing the COVID vaccine and saying that if it weren't for Biden's politicizing of the vaccine, that we'd get it much sooner and within a couple weeks. And in actuality, a lot of his people within his CDC, or I mean, he's not listening, but within his own medical, what's it? The thing that tells him advisory, medical advisory team. They said it wouldn't be around until around next summer. So basically, this is the part where, all right, I was probably about like 4 or 5 shots into this at this point. Like I had given up on actually trying to comprehend what was being said on both sides, so the notes get real hazy after this. But so I got Biden, Trump is full of shit, and he's muzzling scientists. And then, but what I appreciated from Biden in regards to Trump during the debate,
did he get to speak? Okay,
yeah. All right, so I took speech and debate at one point, and I relatively know how a debate is supposed to go in a formal setting. Trump was talking to Biden the entire time. Biden was talking to the people. And that's where I saw the distinct change.
But I think that like one of the issues that Kamala Harris faced during the presidential campaign for the DNC was that people thought that she pulled that card too much, where when she was asked a question, she would do this thing where she would face the camera and be like, I'm going to talk to Trump, or I'm going to talk to the people. And that actually sometimes can kind of like make people feel kind of weird, like it's too structured.
It's a little pandering.
You know what I mean? You know, Trump, but the thing is the opposite, because Trump was focused so much on Chris Wallace and Biden.
Yeah.
He never spoke to the people. He was just he's not just defensive. You know what I mean? Like, he's just right all the time.
What you mean?
His feelings.
Okay. All right. So,
it's like every time somebody talks, he just...
So, like...
Just cut the... donkey.
But, like, so...
you know, yeah.
No, but in this instance, it got to the point where Trump was so focused on just, if I rattle Biden, he won't be able to come back, or he'll be too busy trying to combat that rattle.
Which, can I be honest, Biden is actually very weak in this environment. Trump did not have to do that.
He didn't.
Honestly, I really think I think that it would have suited Trump more to not do that.
Definitely,
because Biden would not have looked good. I think
that's what I'm saying. Like, Biden's weakness is debate. Honestly, like, he's not the best parliamentary debater. Trump, honestly, isn't that good at debating either, but he knows he's not good at debating, so he tries to fuck up his opponent.
But I have a complete opinion about that, which is his method benefits him when you're trying to become president, but that's not the kind of behavior that you want to see from a president. He's there. The person who's moderating is begging the president. Chris Wallace from Fox
told him, you're not debating me, you're debating.
Who literally, by the way, Chris Wallace is probably one of the best people on Fox. He's from the old guard where, like, people hate Bill O'Reilly because he's like a fucking sexual offender or whatever. But the benefit of Bill O'Reilly is that he used to have people of all types on his show. Chris Wallace is the last person on Fox.
Well, and Bill O'Reilly helped with the resurgence of the manatee population from the endangered species list to now just protected. If it weren't for his seminal fluids just pumping into multiple manatees.
Oh, boy. Fucking... Chris Wallace?
Bill O'Reilly fucks manatees.
Chris Wallace is actively one of the people who on Fox who everybody, they're all entertainment, who's still kind of like a reporter.
He tries to keep some sort of journalistic
Jesus
integrity.
Fucking Christ. Trump is literally like the most self-sabotaging person on the fucking planet, and he cannot stop himself.
Trump was the Rams against the Patriots in Super Bowl 2018.
But the Rams did win one. Do you not remember the what was it? Was it 98? When was the Rams won the Super Bowl?
When you mean when they were still in St. Louis? Either way. So, like, all right. If you were to chalk this up,
1999.
Wait.
Oh my God. That was when they went against the Titans 2 years in a row.
For the Super Bowl?
For the Super Bowl. 1 year, the Rams went against the Titans, they won. The next year, they lost. Oh. I think I might have it backwards.
Wait, was that when the Titans were the Titans and not the Oilers, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Anyway.
I'm sorry, I just got hooked on that. You know how that happens.
I don't know. Having been in like a formal debate situation, you tend to kind of take the filter of it as like as a fight. It's a very fight or like you're put in that situation. It's very fight or flight instance. And I think when Trump started fighting Biden and he started going for headshots, Biden knew how to take cover and how to work the body.
The different. I mean, it's a good analogy, but like the only differences are like Trump would kind of think of the same. Trump thought he was just throwing haymakers and just pounding on somebody who's covering themselves up. But unlike a fight, you don't cover yourself up by putting your hands up. You cover yourself up by just keeping your mouth shut and being nice. And that's literally just Trump's fucking weakness.
Yeah.
He cannot keep it. I believe, I'm going to get some fucking hate for this, I think fucking Biden would have fucking lost if Trump would have just got his mouth shut.
Oh, definitely.
You know, and Trump says, "Oh, I won." In a way, he did, but like he did a lot of harm to himself. I don't know.
I don't think he did win. I think he beat himself.
He to himself.
He tuckered himself out.
He completely lost.
He was throwing Chuck Liddell haymakers the entire time.
I totally mixed that up. I meant he lost, because he did it to himself, though.
Yeah.
I think Biden would have lost. I think 100% if he would...
Biden was just able to duck the
way Biden is, the way he misspeaks, I'm not trying to harp on him because he stutters or anything like that.
His stand-up game isn't the best.
That's just not where he benefits. He benefits because he has a good support staff. Mm-hmm. And if he's president, that'll benefit him. He won't have to, and Trump is good with the words because he probably had Kavona at the time. And he probably was having a little bit of a headache, maybe a little bit of a sore throat or something, but he was still going. And they both look terrible, by the way. I don't know what's going on with them.
I mean, honestly, it was like watching Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz today.
Well, Tito looks way better, though.
Yeah, Tito looked way better.
Yeah. But
I still need to watch that fight, though.
But, I just don't understand. Fucking this guy just... You ever just bury yourself?
Well, okay, so, like...
And by the way, you see this? Fucking Trump has fucking COVID. If Trump would have held back... He would have won because Biden, unfortunately, just in those environments does not do well. So Biden would have it would be like, did Biden win? Did Trump lose? Instead of
Biden win? Did Trump lose?
Instead of Trump,
you decide.
Instead of Trump thinking, I'll be prisoners of history. Instead of fucking Trump fucking embarrassing himself so much that they want to change the rules and stuff like that.
Right.
But now he has COVID, so now it looks like he could have just gotten COVID. Even with all his things he said before. If he would have did a good job here and was restrained, you could pull some sympathy. But he looks like a bully. And bullying does not work in this environment because he's on top. It's punching
he's the
down.
Incumbent. Yeah. He's punching
when
down.
When you're becoming the president, the thing about him is I was not behind him. He was not my candidate. But the reality is that when you are the person who's a reality star, who's a mighty successful businessman,
you can't be the fuck the system guy when you're also the head of the system.
He's literally he's like punching the fuck down. Come on.
Well, what got me was when he started using, all right, so I got a couple quotes, that were just like what? So the first one was when Trump goes, "Don't ever use the word smart with me," which I don't know how I would react, viscerally, if someone ever said, "Don't ever use the blank with me." First of all, fuck you. Don't tell me what to do. To quote Zach De La Roche, "Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me."
Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me.
Fuck you? I won't do what you tell me.
Fuck you! I will not do what you tell me.
Hey, fuck you, I don't want to do what you tell me.
Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me.
The second one was saying that Joe wants to shut down the country again, which I don't think that's ever been a part of of Biden's policies.
Yes, but here's the thing: is that this shows you where Biden is weak, because that's not, and he actually could have defended himself.
He could have,
and he actually had 30 seconds of uninterrupted speech before Trump got him. He did.
Was it really uninterrupted?
I'm gonna tell you something. He flummoxed it 100% because he said the wrong thing. He 100. See, you have notes. I don't fucking have notes. Biden started to say,
"Well, I don't have inflection notes. That's the issue." You could tell he stumbled over them.
He definitely had a hard time because he was trying to state about how they're going to create, for example, he said we're going to give them PPE and something, and he didn't mean PPE. He meant the PPP, which is the payroll protection, which allows businesses to retain the people they work for.
That's the follow-up where Biden's follow-up is we can't rebuild the economy until we get a hold of the COVID crisis.
Yes, he was this is why I cannot get behind him. If you listen to what he said, he was trying to say, we're trying to pass stimulus, and we're trying to get a hold of this so we can open things back up.
Right.
But instead, what came out was blah, 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 and Trump jumped on it. But the problem with Trump is that he jumped on it so hard.
And he said, well, I'm the one who brought back the top 10 football, or Pac-10 football. I brought back...
He honestly didn't need to say that.
He didn't.
You know why?
At
because
all.
Biden misspoke so hard that Trump didn't need to say that.
It's like, all right, he got one of his haymakers in, and he saw Biden stumble, and so he went for the takedown and just fucking tripped over his own feet.
Like, oh boy, like, you know what he did though? You know what that was? That was, hey, look at me. Ooh, the thing you like. You missed it. You missed it. You sure as heck missed it.
We're bringing
oh boy.
Oh, and then there was the bit about how Trump was attacking the rally sizes, or the question was in regards to how they've continued their campaigns given the COVID crisis.
Cool. You mean like how he was continuing to campaign for 100 plus high level donors, and some of them got COVID, and how he was working with people in his White House who got COVID, and he also got COVID. I'm sorry, continue.
Yes, and how he continued to go to rallies and that were surpassing whatever state mandates
without masks, people locked behind, who probably weren't tested, right?
In fact, encouraged.
He didn't get COVID then, but I mean, I guess it was
Herman
okay.
Cain.
So I guess it's like, oh no, that's not fair. That's not, because technically you don't know if he got it from that. But guess what?
But
if you don't wear a mask there, probably not wearing it anywhere. Just saying. That being said,
but
I don't
also,
want his family. Obviously, that's not cool, but still.
But also, he was like, "You don't need to wear a mask to these things." Like he actively advocated against wearing a mask. You know, for a hot second, I contemplated changing my Tinder profile to Rip Herman Cain just to see what kind of responses I would get. Like, just as a social experiment. Just as a social experiment.
What's next? Hit me with it.
So yeah, there was that part where he was ridiculing Biden for... Not ridicule. He was trying to bust balls about like how small his campaign rallies were, and then said like, oh, you know, Biden comes in, you're within 200 feet of him, he's wearing a mask. You know, he's so scared of this. He's weak. He's feeble. He's scared of the COVID.
In hindsight, the thing about that is that like Biden in that interaction, like he did look weak, but like, I mean, in hindsight, he looks smart. Like, yeah. I don't know what fucking Trump wants from us. And that's the problem, is that like he does these ad hominem fucking straw man fucking attacks, and it just does harm to him. Because literally, again, all Trump had to do, Biden, honestly, I'm sorry.
Biden could have beat himself. But Trump did it for him.
Like, fuck, man.
Trump beat him to the punch.
And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it was so boring to me. Because I was really expecting for Biden to beat himself, which be I don't know. We were sitting there watching it, and I was like, oh yeah, you know. And we were laying here, you know, and the kid was on here, and he's like on his phone. And we were laying there, and like she was like falling asleep, and like we were trying so hard, and it went off. We were just watching Grey's Anatomy. Come on. It literally was so uninteresting.
I watched the entire fucking thing for this. You asshole.
Okay, hold on. I did tell you immediately after it was after. Immediately when it was done.
Look, I was already half an hour into it when you told me that.
And did you see any of the fucking Democratic debates? A+. Fire and brimstone and people really passionate and, you know, talking over each other, but not too much. Like really going for it, you know? This shit was a fucking shit show. For both people.
And it wasn't even a good shit show.
It wasn't.
Like, they could have got someone to produce a better shit show.
Like, come
on. Fucking bring in Bruce Buffer to do the intros or something. Or at least have, like, a title fight before it.
And did you see that the committee that organizes these was like, hey, the Trump, they were like, hey, you know, before this, what we should do is, the next one, anybody who talks, we're not supposed to, we're going to cut the mic off. And Trump said, but I won. Why would I do that?
Did he win? How did it score? Were there judges?
So I'm gonna
That's
be
what I'm
honest.
curious. Like, how was it actually
I think
scored?
that it would be, if it was regular debate, it would have been like a 10-2, 10-2, 10-2 for Trump, because Biden is not really there. I think that Biden, I just think that he's very weak in this environment. And against somebody as verbose as Trump, if Trump could just stay within his time, he could have still steamrolled him. He could have spoken over his time a little bit, but I think it would have steamrolled Biden. This really turned into fucking...
It turned into a pissing match.
This turned into fucking a split decision, and Biden didn't have to do anything to it. It literally, you ever see somebody fight in high school? Yeah, I know. I feel like, I don't know if people in other countries know this shit. People fight in high school, they just throw fists so hard they're hitting themselves.
Okay,
Trump,
so funny
Trump
story
is fucking
about
throwing their hands.
I watched one of my friends get into a fight. It was completely serendipity. He was in a PE class. I was in my media class. I just happened to be in the same room when I was having to do something for my media class, and he ended up getting in a fight with this other kid over some bullshit. And this kid starts coming out throwing these windmill.
I know that.
Punches.
I know that. Yeah.
And all right, so my friend actually took MMA classes and
no.
And this kid's full on arm circles around trying to rain hell from up high. And my buddy just popped him twice, and he was fucking done.
Unfortunately, Biden don't know MMA.
He don't know MMA. He doesn't know how to pop twice. But here's the thing. I still think throwing those fucking windmill punches, Trump probably tore a rotator cuff.
He hit himself. It's disgusting.
And again, as someone who has been in a scored speech and debate environment, I think...
Trump loses immediately.
Yeah, Trump loses.
Yeah. But for the American people, for the people for whom Trump is really the rebel, I think for the people who really truly believe that...
Well, here's the thing.
They're not going to change anyway.
People who are for Trump aren't on the fence about Trump.
I disagree. And I'll say this. I'll say why. Because I think that there are people who... There are lots of people who are on the fence more than we think.
Really?
The people who think Trump is the rebel...
Doesn't that hurt their groin?
People who think that Trump is the rebel... the people who think Trump is the rebel are for him. Mm-hmm. But there are people who don't think he's done the greatest and done the greatest work, and who aren't completely behind him, but they supported him, or they're looking to support him, and they're just not sure. And so they tuned into this, and they looked at it. And when I tell people things like, I'm not just voting for Biden, I got my ballot, my absentee ballot 2 days before, and I didn't just fill it out. I know I know Hakeem Jeffries. My grandfather knew him. I know who I was going to support for the Senate. I know everything on that thing. Mm-hmm. But I see Biden and Trump, and I didn't just check Biden. Why? Because when people say, I think that is disingenuous and not fair. No matter how much I like or dislike Trump, I'm going to try. I'm a human, so I'm going to fail, but I'm going to try to sit and to watch the fucking debate and try to form an opinion of my own, even though I know for a fact that my opinions are already guided by shit that I read.
You need to trust your intuition more, bud.
But I try to just open up, and I fucking sit there. And the thing is that that's me trying, but there are people out there who are really not completely sure. So they tune in, and even that doesn't really convince them. Did that performance convince you that Biden is truly, what that did was, it didn't convince you of Biden, it convinced you against Trump.
Yeah.
The people who were for Trump were more hurt.
Yeah.
But unfortunately for Biden, the people who were on the fence about Biden was just a lot.
I've never been fully in the Biden camp. It is strictly just the greater anti-Trump camp, which I don't like that. I don't like being a part of the...
Fucking weak.
Yeah. What am I supposed to do? It's a fucking two-party system. What... Am I supposed to just throw away...
Guess what?
What?
Is it a two-party system?
Yes.
It's not.
Wake the fuck What do you mean?
You know why it's not? Because guess what? On not every state, but on enough states to actually win, there are 2 third-party candidates that are on the ballot enough to actually win. The problem is that they're not being allowed on the... Now, granted, I don't fucking even know who they are. I only know because one of them is actually on the ballot in New York, right? But I know for a fact they are on enough ballots to actually win the presidency. And they should be allowed to be represented on TV. Whether or not I fucking even know who they are, guess what? That's where the medium of that is.
Let me ask you this. Do you think Kanye would have done better against Trump?
I don't, because he would have probably fallen apart. But here's the reality: is that
I kind of think he would have talked over Trump enough.
I
think he might have one-upped him.
Can I tell you this though? If he was on the ballot in enough states, he's actually on the ballot in a few states. If he was on the ballot in enough states, then guess what? He should be allowed on that TV.
He should be. I completely agree. But that's debates, why I'm saying it's a 2-party system.
But it's disgusting.
Because he's not there. It is. You can't deny that it's not a 2-party system.
But like,
as much as I'm grossed out by it.
No. There's a difference between it being a 2-party system and them is like systematically like reinforcing a 2-party system. Because it's not. Because the system is the ballots.
But
No. The system is the ballots.
The system is the entire campaign process, including the ballots.
No. So, no. Because this is technically outside of the actual... This has nothing to do with actually voting for president. However...
But 808s and heartbreak?
I know, right? This is something that's just agreed on, like, casually, so that they can have the people... So you can see who is the president, right? This is separate from anything. The system, the actual system that matters, has 2 other pairs of people on it in enough states to win, but they're not on the television. And that part of the television, which matters, is not effectively part of the system. It's just like how you say,
well, media is the 4th branch of government.
But it's not. But here's the thing: it's not. So yes, it's like just like weird legislation that says that like the candidates have to have equal time. But which candidates? And
asking the real fucking question.
And this is the reality. It's really disgusting. There are people in this country who actually have a chance, and they're not being allowed to participate, and it might even be against the law.
To not allow them to participate in the debate?
Yes.
All right, so just...
But the debate,
real quick, picture Trump doing his bit, like you do his real quick of like talking about like how I brought back football and I did all this and I'm doing the stimulus bill.
I'm gonna do a little different. I don't know.
Right. Just
in Florida.
I
can't stop. Okay,
keep going.
I can't. That's too loud. Holy shit. You're gonna fucking break the... Okay.
Alright, sorry. I'll do it quiet.
You're gonna break my fucking ears.
Sorry.
Jesus, fuck. I have headphones on.
My bad.
Jesus. Alright.
Shoop-de-whoop. Whoop-de-scoop-de-whoop. Scoop-de-whoop. Whoopity scoop-de...
Jesus.
Shoop-de-whoop.
Alright.
Wouldn't that have been such a better fucking debate?
No lie, I think he would have won.
He would have won!
Oh, Jesus.
People have been like, oh man, he went over his time, but that shit was fire! He hit bars!
Right. I know this is an extra large episode, but you got any more notes on that thing? Hit me with something.
Alright. Trump's big chirp during the whole thing was Biden's done nothing his entire career.
Which is, I mean... Continue.
But that's just like being a career politician, right?
I mean, technically he did something. You know, he was against busing. Like, you know, just saying. But the things that he was against, technically, Trump might be for. So I think that, I mean, the things that he was against, Trump might have also been against. So well, you can't specify. So continue.
All right, the juicy part, the juicy goose. All right. Will you tell white supremacists or will you condemn white supremacy and militia or private militias? Like, will you condemn them? That was the.
It was, and
That was the juicy one.
and my opinion about that is twofold, but it's strong, and that's
Wait, hold on.
yeah.
Which it gave me my favorite quote of the.
Which
of
was?
Do it. Say it. Do it.
I agree with that.
Say it.
And the thing about that I like,
Do it.
the thing about that I love too,
Say it.
is and this is not a fucking joke. If you look at it right, and it's like, okay, Trump, this fucking guy,
Say it.
he loves to dodge fucking questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, they're like, you know, he's like, who do you want me to tell? I'll tell anybody that. Because Wallace is like, you know, pick someone. He's like, fucking Proud Boy, stand back, stand by. Trump is a misspeaking, just like Biden, he's a misspeaking idiot. I do not believe, like I see in the fucking Times, that Trump was saying, hey, Proud Boy, stand back, stand by for my signal. What's more telling is that he wouldn't on stage
wouldn't just say the fucking thing.
And I think that it makes it look worse that they're trying to latch onto this. He obviously fucking misspoke while he was trying to actively dodge not saying that he does not agree with white supremacy and bigotry. That's the part that matters. Oh my God.
All he had to say was
Literally, he's trying to fucking avoid it. And he's like, oh, just stand back and stand by. And they're literally just like latching onto his poor language. That literally is not even the part that matters. He was not saying, hey, Proud Boys. Who, by the way, the Proud Boys have turned into like a weird organization. It started as like some kind of like weird prank thing, you know. And
Which, side note, I've been seeing a lot of posts lately of
Proud Boy, people kissing, men kissing,
from Pride parades
Yeah.
and stuff. The hashtag Proud. That makes me so happy.
I'm down with that.
Like,
You know?
I'm giddy. I'm giddy seeing that be the trending hashtag.
That part of it to me was the weakest part.
It was the weekend.
You know, because literally,
But-
Jesus.
But all right, let me ask
Like,
you this:
he's trying to avoid the.
if you're getting married, all right, and the person is like, all right, will you take this person to heaven to hold through sickness or in health? Say I do, and you're like, I guess. Like that's.
Here's the thing, is that because the Proud Boys are technically not a white supremacist organization, because the history of the Proud Boys is not that. The history of Proud Boys is like this weird thing.
Do you think it'd be different if they spelt it with an I?
Maybe. The Proud Boys started as like some weird thing where it's like a comedian doing something that was dumb and kind of like ridiculous and like it was supposed to be satirical, but as a lot of things turn out, you know, it's like I'm satirizing stuff and people kind of run with your shit, right?
Well,
So the reason why Trump picked the Proud Boys is because the Proud Boys are not actually a white supremacist organization. Chris Wallace said anybody, just say anybody. He didn't say the KKK. He
left it too open.
He was trying to say was I denounced the Proud Boys, right? He didn't pick an actual like fucking white supremacist organization. Then he misspoke, and people are latching onto that, completely missing the fact of what he was trying to do, which was not directly address white supremacist groups in America. It's like, holy shit. And then what that does is that people who are not fucking stupid, because people in the fucking who are the constituents who are in those places aren't dumb, they're gonna be like, he obviously was not fucking saying that. And then now they're gonna look at the situation and they're gonna be like, well, he was obviously not saying he supports this fucking group, but they're taking his words and twisting it. And now
I don't think there's much twist to it though. It's
no, like I think if somebody obviously misspeaks and you're not a fucking idiot, you're like, oh, the article should say when Trump is trying to evade a question about this, and it should have nothing to say.
The article ought to have been Trump evades questioning about condoning white supremacy.
So when people who are a little bit more single-minded are looking at it and they're listening to it, they'll look at it and they'll be like, oh, well, I see this and they're saying this, but this is not quite true. All it takes is for it not to be completely true. Because when Bill Nye says things like the water level is going to rise a foot every year, It is not true. But climate change is real. People who are not sure hear somebody not telling the truth completely, and it completely makes them not comfortable. And I had an argument with somebody once, and they were like, oh, well, it's okay to lie or to kind of like bend the truth if it's for a good reason, or if it's like leaning in the right direction.
Is that one of the 4 elements? Truth bending?
Oh, shit. That's also fucking cool. But if you look at that shit does not work. You have to be completely forward, because not everybody reads everything. Not everybody sees everything. Imagine if you fucking work. Imagine
anybody reads everything.
Imagine you're on the fucking farm, right? You're on a farm.
Hold on. Okay, I'm there.
You're on the fucking farm.
All right.
John Deere, fucking going, right?
All right. Okay.
And you come in, and you turn on your local news, right? And all they have is a clip of Trump saying, "Proud Boy, stand back." They're like, "Are you have anything to say? Stand back, stand by." And you're like, obviously that's not what he was saying. What the fuck? You don't have the context for the entire thing, because you're a regular fucking person who watches news at 9. It's very important when presenting information that it's presented in the most obvious and the most honest way possible. Because a lot of people don't watch CNN or CNBC or MSNBC. They watch the news at 10 o'clock. You know? Yeah. So when they show a little snippet, it has to be the truth. It has to be honest and forward. Because when you come in from work and you see it, and you're like, well, obviously Trump is an idiot, but he was not fucking saying that he wants the Proud Boys to stand back and stand by so they can bust up windows. You're like,
oh, but that leads me to my next.
So tell me my point is not. Tell my point's not fun.
Leads me to my next question.
Yeah, I'm down with it.
That leads me where they asked, "Will you encourage supporters to stay calm during the extended period of voting calculation while they declare victory, and refrain from declaring victory until the election is independently certified?"
What you think about that? I got hard ass opinions.
You have hard ass opinions about
everything.
I do. So, in my notes, Trump urged his supporters to watch carefully, and that his poll watchers, people who are just sitting back, making sure no wrong tampering, so no.
Which is something that happens in every election.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of poll watchers. It's not a new thing. Continue.
Watch carefully. They have been kicked out and not allowed to linger, and that if he sees...
Because of COVID. But then they're normally allowed to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If he sees tens of thousands of ballots being manipulated, then he will not accept the results.
And this is one of the ones where I'm like, okay, because guess what? This is not new. Everybody talks about Florida, right? They talk about Florida because of Bush. Because they didn't just accept the results of the election. That's not new. That's not a new process.
Yes, but the compounding rhetoric that's going into that question.
Yes. So the issue, I think, is with the question. Because what Trump has been doing has been kind of stating that the system is a fraudulent or fraud.
But he's been stating it's fraudulent
if he loses.
If he loses.
And I think that one of the issues is that, like, the question is not a bad question, but it's intended to not be combative, even though they did have some combative questions. At the beginning, what they started with a combative question per candidate, and then went to more general questions. Mm-hmm. This should have been the combative question, because Trump's rhetoric continuously has been that. But most candidates fight until the last fucking moment. They recounted all those fucking ballots for Bush. Mm-hmm. Days. It is completely not out of, ridiculousness. And Trump saying these, and this is why Trump has issues, because he just runs his mouth. Poll watchers are not allowed to watch the polls right now because of fucking COVID. They're not allowed to fucking stay in the polls But poll watchers are not new. And if anything, people should be allowed to participate. And if they're not certain, they should be allowed to fucking stand inside of a public.
Really?
Hold on. The people, they don't rack stuff. It's usually a public place. The community centers, city centers, public places that are public for a reason. They tend to be state-owned places. Mm-hmm. And then you go there to vote. And then people mingle and chat. And you can watch the process continue, which is important. Mm-hmm. And poll watch has been going on for a very long time. And they don't like break shit down. They just stand there and they watch to make sure that when stuff is done, that it's put into the little private box thing and is locked up and the process is continued. And that kind of independent thing, that is kind of what I think America is, which is allows people from the community to participate and watch to see what's going on. But
it
because of
like
COVID,
there ought to be alternative avenues for that kind of participation.
Unfortunately, because of COVID, there's no real way to have people physically. Because guess what? If everybody has to get kicked out before everything is done, then it's very possible in an instance that in a small place where there's only a few poll workers, maybe 3, they could break some rules or they could manipulate ballots. You know what I mean? Which is possible. Which is why the ability for someone from the community to be in their community space to do that is beneficial. But unfortunately, because of COVID, doesn't allow it. Which is why voting ballots, I think, it works because you can.
No, wait. What are you talking about? Those don't work. The postal systems, fuck. You can't trust mail-in ballots because they're taking all these ballots. They're just sending out a bunch of ballots already. I mean, those can't work either.
Trump did say this, and it's kind of true. Like, you can send the ballots, and if it's an issue, you can confirm and contact the people.
You could,
which is a way to if there's an issue, you can do. And I think with Trump, but like Trump kind of mentioned it, but then Biden was behind it, and then Trump was like, "But that would be too much work." So you think in Texas? You think in Florida? Like fucking all the votes in Texas being hand counted over the course of 2 weeks is not too much fucking work. Guess what? It's less work than having a bank of people being fucking recorded, calling the people, confirming their identities, and then making sure that their vote was tallied correctly.
The two questions compounded on top of each other were indicative of basically the intention of inciting some sort of fraudulent voting system, and I think there's a little bit of an encouragement of voter coercion or intimidation.
There's a lot of that just going, but unfortunately the question was too weak. So like they couldn't really, the questions that are presented are very important. And unfortunately the question wasn't really about what the issue was.
Well, let's be honest. He only was able to get half the question out before he
That's
had to...
true. You really have to pose the questions in a way that gets to, to really like, you don't want to be like, fuck you, this is what you've been doing, but you want to pose questions, and you can ask a question like, this is what you've been saying, so I'd like to know how you feel about this. And that's a good way to form a question in that kind of debate environment. And it'd be much harder for Trump to get around. But just doing like that kind of question is too weak.
Well, yeah, the blanket statement questions are a little weak. But again, they couldn't get a more formulated question out in time.
We don't even know because of how it was going.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's definitely another weakness for Trump. Like, fuck, man. This fucking guy fucked himself up so bad.
Fuck.
Because the thing I said earlier about people like coming in and seeing the news and just seeing a snippet and being like, what the fuck are Proud Boys, and why are they harping on this, which is a better reaction.
And why are they so prevalent at Pride Parade?
Because most people would be like, what the fuck is this, and they're not going to care, and they're going to be like, they're harping on him about something. Because sometimes, unfortunately, media does they like to hump on Trump for shit.
Dick riding.
They like to do that for stuff that actually doesn't matter sometimes. They do like to do that.
Well, yeah, because that's what people like to view.
So that kind of hurts it. But at the same time, Trump is a fucking idiot because all they're going to do is clip videos of him looking like a fucking idiot.
Yeah. So who do you think fucked up more during this debate?
I mean,
Trump
Trump
or the media?
Oh, totally Trump. Because Chris Wallace, I think, did a very good job trying to corral. And people are like, oh, Chris Wallace is weak.
No,
Chris Wallace was doing his fight. Literally, he did his job very well.
I gained so much more respect for Chris Wallace during this.
Oh my God. People don't fucking know this guy. This guy is... I know people like, oh, Fox News. Chris Wallace does good fucking work on Fox News. Granted, I don't share the same opinions as him all the time.
I still would have liked to see Big John McCarthy moderate the debate. And instead of doing questions, just have him fucking go at it.
I don't know. I feel like Chris Wallace does such a good job. And you can tell, by the way, that he does a good job. Because even though he's for Fox, Trump was combative with him in any way.
He was.
Because, I don't know if you remember this, but like 7 months ago, Trump, at the beginning of COVID, or like...
They had their
interview.
They had their tizzy.
You know, they had an interview. And Trump was very negative about how Chris Wallace was acting. Because Chris Wallace asked regular questions. Because Chris Wallace is a Republican. He's a conservative. But like... He still
has the journalistic integrity.
And I'm not saying that all people in Fox News don't, because some of them do. But they also...
They aren't on
biased,
the shows
which, by the way,
watches.
Which, by the way, is fine, because saying that, objective news is stupid, it should be fine. It literally should say the Republican channel and the Democrat channel, because what that would do is people would understand what they're watching more.
Yeah.
And then they'd be like, oh, maybe I should... Because that literally makes more sense. Chris Wallace's opinions are not all mine, but he does a very good job. And fucking... If anything, he gave Fox News more credit.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, because what the fuck? This fucking guy is such a clown when he acts like that. He acts such
Biden's words, not yours.
Yeah, I know, right? And, Biden... The thing is, Biden...
Wait, okay. So Biden was chirping pretty hard, though, too.
He was, but not strong enough.
Nearly as... in the group chat, we were talking about it. And the guys were like, yeah, he's chirping pretty hard. I expected a little bit more like, fuck you, Shorzy. But there wasn't nearly enough, like, your mom made me come so hard I threw off the pH balance in my my fighting fish tank. Chirping. Like, there wasn't any, like, hey, Tutu.
Honestly, Biden didn't hit it enough. A person like that, what you do is, you do let them steamroll you. Because you're taking the higher ground.
You got to take the charge.
But then... you fucking bullfight that shit. When they rush by, you're just like, look at his behavior. This is the person that you want?
Olay.
Honestly, the best counter to any question that's asked, period, is look at the behavior of this person. Look at how you're asking questions to this person who is the leader of the country that we're in.
I'm surprised Biden didn't offer Trump a juice box during the whole thing because he's acting like such a child.
And the thing is...
that would have been a great... Biden, write this down, shit. I will write you fucking...
Don't lie, though. Trump did have a strategy, but it's the wrong strategy. Mm-hmm. His strategy is not the incumbent strategy. It's the underdog strategy. It makes sense. When he was doing a debate to become president, I wasn't like, yeah, Trump, but I got it. Because in those instances, there's a lot of people, and when you get closer, you really have to make yourself fucking heard. Yeah. You have to... You're like, I'm from behind, I'm under, you're going to listen to me.
He had much more of a Masvidal strategy than a Diaz strategy.
100%. Oh, man. Like, honestly, you really should fucking... Oh, fuck, man. You know what I mean? And now he's acting... I
love equating these debates to UFC fights.
He's acting like John Jones, but he ain't got the hands.
Mm-mm.
You know what I'm saying?
He doesn't have the stand-up game.
He's acting like he's John Jones, but he ain't got it. You know what I'm saying?
He's coming out. He's fucking doing the McGregor fucking arm swing, and then is just getting fucking laid out.
What you really should do in this instance, and this is where Biden should have Khabib did. This person's coming at you, swinging hands. You need to drop, take them down with you.
Work that ground game.
But you got to choke him out. But unfortunately...
Hit the submissions.
It's like he hit his back. He didn't know what to do. He hit half guard. Next thing you know, He was fucking sorry. Next thing you know, he was on his fucking stomach.
It was a real Hoist Gracie, Ken Shamrock fight,
But
if you
at the
ask
same time,
me.
though, but Trump is hitting the mat. That's the problem. Is that like he literally has him on his stomach. Trump could have won that, but like literally, it's like at the beginning, he used this energy to get Biden on the ground. But then he's like swinging.
Did you just say Biden?
No, Biden. Like, no, Biden is fucking swinging his fist so hard that shit is hitting the ground. Bam, 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 bam. Come on, come the fuck on.
Right?
That shit is ridiculous. And I'm not gonna lie. I'm not saying I want Trump to win, but I want to see a fight. Like
I wanted a fight.
Like, you know,
It wasn't the fight night that I wanted. It was.
So was it 2 weeks? Pence, Kamala.
Is that what's coming up?
Yeah. It's because then there's one more with the presidential candidates, and I feel like that's going to be a hustle. Bets? I mean, it's not really a bet. Do you want to put some
money on it?
Because I'm going to tell you something. People sleep on Pence. People sleep. Pence is slick. And I'm going to tell you something. Kamala ain't got the love, and she watching her DNC debates trying to become the presidential candidate. I'm going to tell you something. She didn't win for a reason.
But Kamala's got what Kamala's got going for her is she has the she's got the sound bites. She'll hit the highlights.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you something.
But that's all she's got.
Like I was saying about Trump, though,
she might hit.
You want the highlights on the 10 o'clock news.
She's got those spinning back kicks.
That's what you want. You know what I'm saying? They're a little flashy. They might not want to fight, but when you look at the clips, you're like, shit.
She's throwing something.
When you coming in from work and you sit down, they're like, oh, the debates. You know, they see like 10 seconds of a debate, but then you see Kamala look at the screen and look at you.
Yeah.
And tell you that she's there for you.
Look, I'm not a huge Kamala fan.
No.
I don't trust lawyers.
Fucking pig. Oh. She's a fucking pig. She's the, oink oink.
Yeah.
Fuck the police.
Whoop. That's the sound of the police. But
overseer.
Officer.
You know.
But
Karis one's from this hood, though. I don't know if you know that.
It is? Oh.
Yeah. He's from over here, yeah.
No shit, really?
Yeah, he still has a house right over there.
These are hallowed grounds.
Yeah, man.
Damn.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, I think I'd back Kamala. I'd put money on Kamala.
I honestly, Pence comes off as an underdog. It's gonna be a tighter fight than you think.
I believe
that. Pence is not Biden.
I mean, he's got a stick up his ass, so he's got to have like something there.
Kamala, I feel like she has a good chance, but this is definitely where he definitely is the incumbent. He's the champion for a reason, in a way, and you might think to yourself, well, he's not the president. Pence is not a nobody. It's gonna be something, you know what I mean, and it all depends on what the questions are. You know what I mean? It's all about what the questions are. Because Kamala, man, when they ask her questions about her fucking history,
if they get into her history, then
they do it one. They don't, not a lot, but they say things like, this is how voters feel about your history. What would you say about that? She's not super strong about it. She does tell a personal story. She always does that, but it's kind of weak.
But that's a Biden thing too.
Pence is not Trump. Pence definitely has some heavy hands in this. He definitely has some heavy hands. What Kamala needs to do, in my opinion, if I was going to put money, I might put a little money on both. Mm-hmm. But you got to play the spread. You know what I mean? Like it's football, you got to pay the spread a little bit. All right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to do by points. Like, if it comes, like, I feel like at the end, split decision. If I had to bet all my money, play the spread, I'd be like split decision. I put all my money on split decision because I think that like neither of them are gonna really like pound the fuck out of each other, right?
Well, all right. So what do you think? I think Kamala's gonna come a lot with.
Kamala's gonna come a lot with. All right, got
you. With a lot of, I think if she were a fighter, she'd be throwing a lot of kicks. That would be. She'd be much more in a Muay Thai stance. Where Pence, I think, would be either stand-up game or maybe work well in the guard.
Maybe. I think that
I think neither of them got full submission power.
I feel that. I feel like Pence does have some heavy hands, and I can see Kamala with the kicks. That's a good analogy, I think, because Kamala is also, again, Pence is not gonna make the same mistakes as Trump, I think. Kamala is not super progressive. You can't attack her for being mega progressive, right?
Right.
But you're gonna go for those heavy hands. So
Real
Pence
quick,
is
this
gonna
is a great analogy.
I know, right? Pence is gonna hit her with the overhand. He's gonna hit her with the, you're supposed to be like a little bit more progressive than him. He's more progressive than him.
He's gonna try to fish for the.
He's
gonna
be like, but your record with. Bam! He's
gonna lead with that left foot a little bit, just kind of stick that left ankle out. Wait till she wants to try to hit that thigh, and
he might win with points. Like actually, there's a possibility he might win points because she might come with him because the thing is she does the emotion thing. But she's gonna be like, oh, but I as a black woman and I this and when I was the youngest DA of this, and when she does that, to be honest, those miss, in my opinion, more often than they land because people, kind of don't really care about that. If anything,
and people didn't really like her as the prosecutor.
Yeah, people didn't really like her as a district attorney. People didn't really like her as that. You know what I'm saying? So like, but those can land. But I feel like Pence, all he has to do is stay back. And what are you going to argue with? You're going to be like, oh, he's not Trump. You cannot make any of the arguments you make for Trump. People say things about Pence, but you listen to any arguments, they're all personal. They're like, oh, he's a conservative, he's this. But there are no real attacks that you can make at Pence because Pence is not Trump. You can't argue that he talks too loud. What are you going to do?
All right. What's the white dude from England who looks like he's super fucking tall, and he lost to Masvidal, I think, a couple years ago.
It's a lot of people. There's a lot of people. I gotta look at the list. If I saw a list in front of me, I'd be able to.
He's kind of got a very very lanky arms, kind of. I mean, very gorilla-esque kind of.
Tall, not Europe. Is he a winner?
He's England.
I
think it starts with a T or something.
I don't know.
But anyway, he's much more of like a structured stand-up fighter. I think it'd be that against like a Silva, like an Anderson Silva.
Oh, the spider. I see that. You know what I mean? Because Silva like to throw Silva's good. Silva's out there, but throwing the kicks, throwing them long kicks, throwing them long legs. If somebody can get in close, play that defense, get that win.
Exactly.
I don't know, man.
Oh, that's who it is. Okay, it's Darren Till.
Oh, Darren. Oh, but Darren Till's not even that great. Darren Till's not particularly.
He's just big and he's a little daunting.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
I think that's who I think Pence. He's big and he's daunting and he's got the weight of the vice presidency behind him. But I don't think.
But Kamala Harris she's not ranked, and that's the thing, and that's the difference is that she's not ranked. But this is a big opportunity for her, and she could win because it's fighting in an octagon. It don't matter. I can go against anyone, and I might win. It might be unlikely for me to win. Put me against fucking Conor, right? Put me against Conor McGregor. He'll beat my ass. But the thing about being in an octagon is you can win.
You could.
Anybody can win.
You could just catch that lucky haymaker on the chin.
He because I'm nobody. If I'm somebody special, maybe he works himself. Me, I'm nobody. He's fucking around, drinking, doing coke and shit. He don't give a fuck.
Throwing hand trucks through bus.
So he fucks around. Windows. He does his little Vince McMahon walk that he does, and he's fucking around. And I just get a lucky hit. That's how
Real
that
quick,
happens.
could you imagine if Trump came out to the
doing the Vinnie Mac?
Yeah,
it's the Vince McMahon. That's the Vinnie Mac.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it's intentional. It's meant to be the Vince McMahon, the late night,
Oh, it's from the.
It's WWE. It's Vince McMahon.
Yeah,
it's the big shoulders.
All shoulder. Yeah.
Yeah, it's intentional. Yeah, I'm telling you, that's it.
Do you ever do that in the mirror and just feel like, yeah?
No, I was more of a Stone Cold kind of person because Vince McMahon was the man. Stone Cold. That's the bottom line.
You crush a beer can.
No, I wasn't doing that. Well, this has been awesome. I know it's a supersized episode, but fuck it. This stuff is important. So, who do you think is gonna win? Period. Fuck it. We're gonna end up doing 3 more of these at least before this happens. We're going to do an election day special. Fuck, it's going to come out on election. We should do it on election night.
Do it.
Fuck. Oh, we
Say
should
it.
live stream. Yo,
Do it. Say it.
we're going to live stream.
Do
Oh, we're going to fucking live stream
Say it.
on election night.
Do it.
I think. We're going to fucking see.
Stand back and stand by.
I know, right? Stand back and stand. That's the name of it. Oh. All right. Who do you think is going to win? That's it.
The whole election or just the
Whole election.
Oh, fuck.
Don't fuck with me. Don't fuck with me.
All right.
Be
Visualize.
real. Not what you know you want.
Visualize, manifest. Visualize, manifest. I'm saying Biden, Kamala.
I'm going to tell you something.
I can't afford
Let me
otherwise.
tell you something. I like the white man thinks this. Watch it be fucking Trump. I think Trump is gonna win. But we have to come back to this because I think that the reason Trump is an incumbent. Trump is poised to win. But there's a lot of time between now and November 3rd. There's exactly from the day that we're recording, exactly 30 days.
Wow.
Trump is in the hospital the day that we speak. He will not be able to campaign for the next 12 days.
He's going to be too busy taking bloody shits.
We don't know how he's going to feel. We don't know what's going to happen. But if, for example, he feels okay tomorrow, I heard rumors that his fever is broken for 24 hours. If he gets out there, there's still a lot of opportunity for him to win. So at this moment, I think that I would go plus 200 Trump. That's not
strictly because of the incumbency.
That's not.
I mean,
yes.
Usually an incumbency would give you like plus 500.
Yeah, you're right. But he's sick, and he's Trump. Plus 200 is a little weaker than you'd think. There's still a little bit in the air, you know. I think that Biden Kamala right now actually is going to be like this is where it really matters, like -7. But listen, it's still a lot of time because the reason it's -7 is because of super uncertainty. The next debate, if it goes okay, but I think it's a split decision, maybe in a tie, then it'll be closer to like -100.
Do you think the next debate will be more civil?
100%. Yeah. What really matters is the next Biden-Trump one. Biden's campaign is pushing for him not to. I think that's a mistake. I think he has to.
He's got to push forward.
If Trump acts the same way, I think that'll actually eat away his lead.
Yeah.
If he behaves himself, which, by the way, he actually might.
I don't know about
that. That actually might hurt Biden a lot.
Yeah.
Because Biden needs him to act like a fool.
True. What if they completely flip the script and Biden's the asshole next time?
He doesn't have the energy. He'll fall asleep.
Yeah.
And that was not a good taste. That was supersized.
And I can still feel the love.
Oh yeah. Thank you. Oh, that hurt. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Of course, as always, we appreciate you. If you ever have any opinions, you can always join us at the Facebook page, which is A Habit of Wellness. You can always find all the videos, the VODs, the video on demands of these on Habit of Wellness on Twitter. You can find me personally on Twitter at ThatFunnyFriend. Or, of course, you can always find me at Art of Giving Up on Instagram. And you can always shoot us an email at artofgivinguppodcast@gmail.com. And where can we find you, Chandler?
You can find me at Instagram at C__honey or at bumblebear.squarespace.com.
Get a fucking domain, bitch. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this shit in the fucking description, in the fucking show notes under here, so that because there's a lot of sand. Yeah. Stand back.
Stand by.
Stand by.